Hello everyone, and welcome to another NinjaGo video. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the first part of NinjaGo Crystalized. I'm not going to call this a review yet, the way I've done my season reviews of The Island and Seabound, because, well, it's only the first part. So this is going to be more an initial impressions video. And then later on down the line, when it's all released, I'll go back and talk about everything as a whole. So, but anyway, if you're in Ninjago, you're probably aware of what's going on right now, in which, as of a couple days ago, the first 12 episodes of Ninjago Crystalized are available on both YouTube via LEGO's official channel and on Netflix. Now, these episodes actually appeared like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that, in late May. They were up for a period of about, I want to say it was the weekend. It's like Friday to Sunday or something like that. It was not very long. And then, like, come Monday, then they disappeared. They were privated. So it seems like they went up like 2 weeks-ish early. So my initial plan when that came out, on that week, I was like, oh, well, I guess I know what my video for Friday is. And then all the episodes were privated again. I'm like, I don't know if I want to be doing a video reviewing episodes that no one can actually see anymore, unless you want to count the pirated rips, which I'm sure were still out there. So I decided to give it a little bit of time. It's like, okay, that's going to help let me collect my thoughts more, and we'll see what happens. And so then it was then they popped up on Netflix, and then they were re-uploaded or republished on YouTube and made public again. And so it's been a crazy little crazy ride the last couple weeks for Ninjago. Oh, and on top of everything else, Will Film is shutting down, which of course is the animation studio that produced the first 10 seasons. So that's really sad. Unfortunate for them. I feel really bad for that team. In a lot of ways, I wish they were still making Ninjago. Wild Brain's great at a lot of things that they do. Like I think the action sequences with their fluidity and stuff, they are a marked improvement. But I mean, there was something about that Will Film style that will always be nostalgic. And even if they weren't working on Ninjago, I wish they were still doing like the Lego Star Wars stuff. But I don't know. I guess maybe they ended up being too expensive, so Lego went with a larger, less expensive studios or something. I don't know exactly why they decided to make that change. So it's unfortunate. Feel sorry for the guys at Will Film, guys and gals at Will Film. They did a lot of great work over the years. Hands of Time excluded in terms of pure animation, but they publicly admit that they did not put their best foot forward when it came to that season. So anyway, we're talking about Crystalized. This is probably not going to be long because, like I said, this is going to be an impressions video, not a review. So any critiques, complaints I have at this point are subject to change because of how things are going, which is also a reason why I've decided not to do week-to-week Obi-Wan Kenobi reviews for any of those of you that would be interested in watching those later on. I'm going to wait until all 6 episodes are out because I feel like the entire show is it's like teetering on this edge of this could be amazing or this could be a steaming pile of garbage that does more harm than good to the overall Star Wars franchise. And so it's like, no, this is not a show to talk about week to week. I'm going to do one long review when all episodes are out. But for Crystalized, I did want to at least touch on these first 12 episodes, just to kind of at least put down some of my thoughts, especially since we don't know when we're getting another batch of 12 or more. It could be 2 weeks from now, it could be 2 months from now, it could be 9 months from now, for all we know. It's like, who knows? Maybe we won't actually get the rest of these episodes until the next calendar year, which would be crazy, and I really doubt. But I mean, we don't know when we're going to get the next batch, at least as the time of this recording. So I'm going to go ahead and do my little impressions video here. 5 minutes into the impressions video, I'm finally getting to them. So I'm very torn on these episodes. I think on the whole, they're good episodes, and this is shaping up to be a good season. However, and this is the reason why this is an impressions video, not a review, I have some concerns For one thing, Nia, it's just I was riveted those first 6 episodes because it seems like they're going to be doing like 6 episode arcs here as part of the big story. Because the first 6 episodes are all about getting Nia back to normal ish, and then the next 6 were about the ninja in jail and the rising of the Crystal King, whoever that is. It's pretty obvious it's the Overlord at this point. I'm going to be surprised if it's not the Overlord. That's going to be something I'm going to have to talk about later. And by later I mean when the full season's out or next impressions video or whatever, because he's only been teased at so far, so it's like I don't have anything new to say on that matter. So it's like, okay, these kind of 6 episode arcs in the larger season. I think that's a good way to tell the story so far. It's working. I just really question some of the story decisions they're making here, especially with Nia. So you spend the whole last season building up to this tragic climax where Nia sacrifices herself, and they talk, oh, it was irreversible change and all this stuff. It seemed like that there was stakes and consequences and stuff like that. And it was emotional. Those last 2 episodes are beautiful in their cinematography and fighting and just the overall way Nia's story played out at the end of Seabound, and sacrificing herself and giving up her individuality, really kind of, and merging with Naiad in the spirit of the water and all that to save everyone in NinjaGo. Just really powerful, really good stuff. Seabound is a top 3 season, but all of that is undone now in 6 11-minute episodes. So that would be 22. So in a little over an hour, pretty much, they have undone an entire season's worth of work, of emotional payoffs and buildup and blah, 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 and good storytelling. And it's done. It's over with, it seems like. It seems like, of course, this is an impressions video, not a review. It kind of seems like, all right, we're done with that. Nia's powerless. She's not the girl ninja anymore. She and Pixel are going to share the Samurai X identity or something, I guess. That just really kind of bugs me, especially since in the next 6 episodes, she has very little to do. She has like a couple little moments here and there, but overall, she's not really present all that much. So it's like, okay, so you brought her back to not use her? Question mark? It's like you wrote her out and wrote her back in to then not utilize her, which seems odd. So again, not gonna say this is good or bad yet, because I'm gonna have to see how the rest of it turns out. There could be a great big thing that she's gonna do at the end of the season, and it's gonna be a whoa moment. It's like, okay, that was a really strong, good choice that they made there. We're just not there yet. So, and I'm quitting. So, yeah, So as it stands right now, I am very much questioning, what was the point of that? Why have you undone this awesome thing that you did? And kind of gets back into my whole problem with the Overlord and why it's dumb that they keep bringing him back. I got a comment on one of my videos. The last Crystalized video I did, talking about my problems with bringing back the Overlord. And I feel like, and so, not to call this person out and say he's wrong or anything, because this person said that, the story team has said that, Overlord can never really die, and it's like because he's the living embodiment of evil in NinjaGo, so you can't really destroy him completely. And I guess that's kind of the retcon that they've gone with, and I'm aware. I've been aware of that for a long, long time now. So yeah, but that's the problem. I think it's super dumb that they've done that, because season 2, so much of the story relies on the prophecy, the prophecy, the prophecy, the green ninja this, the green ninja that. He's got to fight his father. He's got to defeat the ultimate evil. Plot twist, Garbodon's not the ultimate evil like we thought. It's actually this guy called the Overlord. And at the end of the season, prophecy comes true. The ultimate evil is defeated in the final battle. They call it the final battle for a reason, because you don't call something the final battle and then continue to have more battles afterward, because then that means that's just how the English language works. That's what final means. So then for him to come back and reboot it is just really dumb. And then they've kind of had to go with this retcon of, oh, well, he's the ultimate evil, so he can't really be ever stopped for good. There's always going to be a way he can make his way back. And it's like, you realize how dumb that sounds, right? You realize that it's actually sort of kind of lore breaking, because you spent so much time in your second season talking about this, and he's defeated, and then the first episode of your third season, you're like, nah, prophecy wasn't true after all. Yeah, the Overlord was defeated, but he wasn't destroyed like we kind of kept harping on in the previous season, that this is how this was going to go with the final battle. So yeah. And then that's another problem I have with bringing Nia back now, is that at this point, if things are going the way it seems that they're going, it's just like there are no more consequences in this show. And I don't like that. And it maybe even... Oh, I can't believe I'm going to say this. It maybe even is going to start to sour my opinion of the ending of Skybound, which is my favorite season still. And I think the ending of Skybound is really awesome and really powerful, and it is a story really told well, although not a lot of people agree with that. It seems like there's a split. You either love the ending or you hate the ending. And, one of the things people talk about, why they don't like it is that, well, there's no consequences. It's like you can't just time travel it back to the way, hit the reset button. And it's like, no, there are consequences. It does matter. It's still a thing that happened, even if it got erased from time, because Jay and Nia remember it. I mean, gee, I wonder why Jay went to the lighthouse in the beginning of Crystalized. It's because he and Nia had some important moments there, and it's surrounded by water. So it's like this double whammy of impactful thing for Jay. Although, now that I'm thinking about it, where the heck is Echo Zane? You had an opportunity there, guys, to bring back Echo Zane and talk about that. But now that I'm thinking about it, there was no Echo Zane in that episode. So is it because Harumi found Echo Zane there and turned him into Mr. E and now Mr. F? Is that it? Is that why there's no Echo Zane? Is that going to be talked about? Because I was just now realizing that there was no Echo Zane in the lighthouse. That is odd. Anyway, but I've always been in the camp of there is consequences for Skybound, because Jay and Nia remember it. They learned their lessons. They got back together, so it does still have a lasting impact. But I think it's going to take a lot for me to really go, nah, that's a... But it is... I think it's still written well, and it's still a good season ender. But it does then become another instance of NinjaGo not sticking to its consequences and undoing things. Because yes, Jay and Neil remember, it got them back together. That's a lasting thing that has lasted. They're yin and yang, married, whatever you want to call it now, and that's important for their characters. But it's like the big consequences of NinjaGo. It's like, maybe it would be kind of cool to have, NinjaGo City kind of flattened a little bit and everyone have to rebuild, and then, or something like that. So they did kind of, there are still some consequences and lasting impacts from Skybound, but also there's some that aren't. So it's kind of a half and half, where the important stuff stays, but the less important stuff got undone. So it's not as bad as it could be, but it is now another example of NinjaGo not sticking to its guns, really, and undoing things kind of at the last moment. because beginning of Tournament of Elements, well, actually, not even the beginning of Tournament of Elements, the end, end of Rebooted, Zane comes back after dying. No consequences there. Nia sacrifices herself at the end of Seabound, and now she's suddenly back immediately at the beginning of Crystalized. Okay, so no consequences there. Master Wu disappears at the end of Hands of Time. He's found as a baby, and he eventually, very quickly, I might add, grows back into old Master Wu. And so we get the regular Master Wu back within 2 seasons. Just 2 seasons. I was about to say season and a half, but no, it's just just 2 seasons. Because we get Baby Wu and Sons of Garmadon, and then we get Kid, Teen, and Adult Wu, all in the space of about 3 or 4 episodes in Hunted. So yeah, I mean, there's kind of consequences being undone. Pixel, even. So now Pixel's the one thing that's like, okay, you know what? I like her walking around having her own body. So her eventually becoming Samurai X, I think, is the strong, wise move there. But yeah, still, it is. And it's like, so I mean, so yeah, undoing the consequences of your actions is not a totally 100% always negative thing, because like I said, I like Pixel being around a Samurai X and stuff. And but you know, there were, I think that also works there because there was time. There was time in between where Pixel was in Zane's head. She, you know, her body was destroyed, and there was consequences for that for like four seasons. Yeah, and a special because that happened in Tournament of Elements. So Tournament of Elements, all Tournament of Elements, Possession, Skybound, Day of the Departed, Hands of Time. And then she gets her body back and she gets a new body in Hands of Time. So yeah, that's like 3 or 4 seasons at a special then. So yeah. So I mean, it took time for that to get undone. But the bigger one that's the biggest offender, I think, is Cole as a Ghost. Cole as a Ghost was awesome. I will always be in that camp. I loved Cole as a Ghost. You know, it was the first time he actually sort of kind of had a discernible personality for the first time in a long, long time, arguably ever. Gone on that, talked about that before in various videos. And, you know, we had him like that for a year, and then they undid it. So it seems like that there's just nothing that ever sticks in Ninjago. I never really agreed with the Ninjago plays it too safe. You know, it always has to reset to the status quo thing. That kind of, I hadn't really agreed with that argument totally completely up until now. I think now I really am going, okay, so yeah, we really are just, there cannot be any lasting stakes in this show anymore, and that's just kind of frustrating because it's like, why? And especially because, and this is one thing I think I will stamp on and say that I don't think there's going to be much coming forward to change my mind about this, is that we get, like I said, I was riveted by all 6 episodes. We finally got Nia back, you know, well, not even finally. I'm going to remove that word from my sentence there. We got Nia back to normal. It was done in 6 11-minute episodes, so in less than an hour, she's back. And her coming to terms with being who she is and everything is done in 11 minutes. I hate the current format the show is in. Honestly, this season really is going to be very polarizing when it's done, I think, because there's been several things with Ninjago that's been issues or complaints people have had over the years, and I've kind of gone, and it's like, I can see how this is a problem for some people, but I don't really mind it. You know, the new format has been one of those, like, people just do not like season 11 at all, the fire or the ice chapter. I think it does better with its format than a lot of people like to give it credit for. It has its problems, sure, like the episode order in the ice chapter is really just all out of whack, and there's a much better viewing order to make that story work better. But Nia realizing who she is and coming back and everything, and, you know, realizing and putting it, all that being done in 11 minutes Gosh, that was rushed. I saw a lot of people going, "Oh, this is my favorite episode. This is beautiful. This is, it's like this is some of the best writing NinjaGo's ever had." And I'm just sitting there watching it, thinking to myself, "Wait, did we watch the same episode? Because that all seemed incredibly rushed to me. We didn't get a sense of who Naiad was. We're having to go off the very vague, basically legend of her from the previous season. And, I think, the on paper idea of Nia eventually coming to realize who she is and realizing that she, in order to make her way back to her family and stuff, that I think that could work, that can work, but I think that would have been a better progression over the course of the entire season, and like her doing something that comes in clutch near the end, and then she gets back to normal and everything. It's I don't know. I just feel like that being done and over with in 11 minutes is just kind of quick. And especially in context of the showtime, I think it's especially very, very quick, because that all essentially happens to her in like the space of an afternoon, essentially, because she's been the spirit of water or whatever for a year, right? Yeah, because it's been a year since both Seabound aired pretty much and in Storytime. They mentioned that. It's like, oh, it's been, Gail Gossip mentions it. It's been a year. So Nia's been pretty happy just doing whatever the heck she wants, and as the water spirit, she's been talking with the whales or whatever. And then, boy, thank goodness that one fisherman almost drowned, and she felt compelled to save him, because otherwise it's like she probably wouldn't have realized who she was. It's like just like, boy, that's lucky. and then very quickly she's like, oh yeah, I am Nia. She, she didn't even need a Mufasa to come out of the come out of the clouds and go, remember who you are. She's just like, oh yeah, I'm Nia. It happened very, very quickly. And then we get the next couple episodes, the next 4 episodes or whatever, of the ninja trying to get her back to normal. And it's again, this is impressions, it's not a review. I'm gonna have to see how the whole thing plays out before I really say I am complaining about this. But I don't know, freezing her and repeatedly over and over and over, going, this is the only way that we can keep her here. It's like, I get it. Temporarily, yes, it is going to help you. So I understand why Zane did it in that moment. But then they act like that's the thing keeping her alive. She didn't even get to say anything, hardly, or explain herself before Zane's like, freezy, freezy, freeze, and it's like, how do you know that this is the only? Maybe you're hurting her more than you're helping her, because you've frozen her. She's in carbonite now, so it's like, are you helping her? I don't know. It's like, what? Because I would have laughed if like she had melted before the ninja could get back, and she's like, no one refreeze me. That really sucks. Just put me in a glass of water, and I'll just be a little tiny Nia in the water with a face or whatever, and I'll just talk to you there, and then we can talk things out and get things squared away and figure out how to help me. You guys thinking that we're on a timetable here is maybe is a little rash, because that's, at least as far as principal of the team, at least as far as I understood it, they're not really on a timetable, because it seemed like the danger of her losing her identity and everything was more tied to being separated from her friends and being in the ocean itself. If they put her in a pitcher of water, if they put her in a pitcher, and and then like, and she's around them and stuff, was there a danger of her losing her identity? It's like, at least as far as I understood the way that whole Call of the Sea episode or whatever went, or the call Nia, whatever the heck that second episode was called, where we see Nia come to her senses. At least as far as I understood it, it seemed like it was the fact that she was one with the ocean in that moment. So if you remove her from the ocean and put her in an environment where her friends and family and loved ones are around, is she gonna lose who she is? Because now she's got a touchstone. She's got an actual grip on reality by being surrounded by everyone. So so a lot of things that happen in terms of we've got to break into Borg Tower. I laughed my head off when they're like, well, we can't just call Cyrus Borg and ask him to help with this. And then Pixel just calls and asks Cyrus Borg to help with this. It's like, yeah, it's you guys are friends with Cyrus Borg. He would help you if you asked, and he did. It's like if you'd called him 3 hours earlier, he probably would have just let you walk into the building and take Asphira's staff all clandestinely and everything, and you wouldn't have had to need to break in and cause and eventually have a police chase that gets you guys thrown in jail and everything. It's like a lot of that just seems super unnecessary. It's like you have allies, use them. You're utilizing Skylar for the first time in like 8 seasons, it seems like, but it's like, come on, Pixel, that's your dad. Just call your dad. When's the last time you called your dad? Are you too busy building things for the ninjas to use for a week and then discard? It's like, give your dad a call. See if he's willing to help. Because as it turns out, he is. You should have called earlier. So I just found some of their decision making not the sharpest. And I know that they're out of touch, they're inexperienced, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, we've been here before, and I feel like they're dumber than they have been previously. So I don't know. I've kind of got more complaints than praise with the first 6 episodes. The next set, I think, are better, with the ninja being locked up in jail. It's like, it's nothing we haven't seen before because it's Skybound. But, all the old villains being there and stuff. And, this kind of ominous threat of, who is the Crystal King? Why is he recruiting villains? Blah, blah, blah. All that stuff is cool. And, Ronan's there, and he's kind of more antagonistic towards the ninja than previously, which I find he even says the word revenge instead of... Revenge is not a word that Ronan would use unless he's talking about someone getting revenge on him. Ronan's the type of person that would use payback, maybe, because revenge just seems very, very, very personal. And I don't know. I don't know if Ronan necessarily sees what the ninja did to him as personal and more just they clashed because that's just the nature of their business, and they've clashed before. They've been allies before, but they've also clashed before because Shadow of Ronan is in this kind of weird, dubious, is it canon, is it not phase. Because they kind of allude to it in Possession, but it seems like it's not. Anyway. So yeah, Ronan, I kind of have a complaint about, but it seems like Ronan for the most part, has a pretty high opinion of the ninja. He knows that they're going to clash on occasion, but he's never held that against them personally. He's always gone, this is business, not personal. So him going, it's like, maybe it's time to finally get revenge. It's like, don't know if I buy that from you. That seems a little out of character, even if you are a little upset that they stopped your little extortion racket with the Islanders. But, that's kind of a minor complaint. Overall, everything else I thought was pretty good. Pythor's back, finally. For Pete's sake, it's been since, 2016? Because it was Day of the Departed last we saw Pythor. So, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So it's been 6 years since we've seen Pythor when he was such a kind of a mainstay in early Ninjago. So and the theme's been around for 11 years now? So, yeah, he's kind of almost been gone longer than he's been around. It's about half and half, almost. So, finally, we get Pythor back. I've been wanting to see Pythor for a while. Asphira, of course, we got Asphira back. I like Asphira. I never really had much of a problem with her before. Certainly don't have a problem with her now. Even the bit where she has to beat Wu and, all the games around the temple was really funny. I thought that was humorous. The commissioner, of course, he can never finish his boat. The series will end when he finally gets to finish his boat. The new mayor is obviously evil, just based on his name and the fact that he's got a white cat. It wouldn't surprise me if the mayor himself is actually the overlord in disguise and he's the Crystal King, and there's going to be the reveal of his flesh is going to fade away because it was all some sort of weird disguise, and it's going to be the overlord underneath, and he'll be able to go and all that stuff. And then like the cat's going to turn into a giant monster or something. Because his name is like a play on "you can trust me" or "I'm a good person" or something like that. So it's like, well, that guy's obviously evil. The new ninja, I'm very curious what their story is, because they say stuff like, we were inspired by you old timers. So I'm very curious to see what their deal is, if they're actually going to get kind of, because I don't know, the way things are playing right now, I could see these characters being here this season, and then you kind of see them in the background of a couple shots going forward in new seasons. But I could, but after that, not really getting utilized at all. We don't get like any backstory on them or anything whatsoever. So it's one of the, and then sometimes, and I know that this is a Lego theme, and the primary point of the show is to sell toys, so you need to come up with new characters to sell your toys and all that. So it seems like maybe even the reason why Skylar's back is because she's included in one of the sets. I'm pretty sure the reason Nia's Samurai X now is because it's one of the sets, so maybe that's why everything seems kind of rushed, because they're having to jump through hoops to get her back to be Samurai X so it can line up with the sets. But at a certain point, I feel like sometimes you need to slow it down when it comes to introducing new characters and focus on the ones you got. Because that's how you end up with characters that then just disappear and we never see them again. We get characters, they're super important, then they disappear and we never see them again, or we see them very sparingly. And with some characters, it makes total sense for them to come to do that, disappear for a while and come back. And it's like, oh, Skylar, hey, good to see you. And it's like Karlov and all the different elemental masters. It makes sense for them to pop in now and again. But then there's some other characters that are like super important, and they just like never come back. And it's like, what happened? What happened? Where did these characters go? And I don't know. I feel like these new ninja could have just very easily been other previously established characters. Like I mean, boom! I just had a Jimmy Neutron brain blast here. It's like, we should not have these new ninja. What these new ninja should be is the elemental masters. When the ninja disappear for a year because they're mourning or whatever, and to go off to do their own things again, it should be the elemental masters. And I would regularly go, oh, well, they're in the sets, so of course they needed to be, in the shows. Like, but they're not in the sets. As far as, it's like, I don't know, maybe the new ninja are going to be all over like the winter line or something like that in January. And so we're getting introduced to them now, so that way we'll have some foreknowledge of them before they're a big deal in January and February. But at least for right now, it kind of seems like that maybe these should have just been the elemental masters, because now we have yet another group of characters that are going to be important for their 15 minutes of fame, and then they're going to go by the wayside, and we'll never hear from them again if they come back at all. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Who knows? So so I don't know. It seems like while the story is doing okay so far, and I'm very interested to see where it's going, it just also seems like that a lot of the worst tropes that Ninjago has to offer are also being represented in this season. So I really hope that we don't go from getting one of the best seasons of all time in Seabound to getting one of the worst seasons of all time in Crystalized, because I'm going to be very upset if that turns out to be the case, because I'm enjoying it. I'm laughing at it. It's written for, I mean, the dialogue is written well and everything. And I must say, Andrew Francis is killing it as Cole. He is doing such a great job at Cole that at times I have to remind myself, oh yeah, he's not supposed to be Cole. The only reason he's Cole is because the previous voice actor unfortunately passed away. So I think we would all love to have Kirby Morrow still doing the part, because that's what we've been used to and what we're familiar with. But Andrew Francis is doing such a great job. He was the perfect choice to replace Cole. And I've really been loving what he's been doing so far. Although, knowing how distinct that voice is and listening to it, it does come across as a little weird when he then also supplies the voice to the kabuki mask, that voice filter that Harumi's wearing when she's walking around and going, Pythor P. Chumsworth, you are invited to the cult of the Crystal King, or whatever. It's like, Cole, are you secretly the bad guy this season? No, what a twist that would be. So it's like, but I know I'm probably one of the few people that actually recognizes voice actors like that. And it's heavily modulated and stuff, so probably 1 in 100 people are going to notice that it's even the same guy if they don't look at the credits. So that's not a huge deal. But yeah, I'm enjoying it, but I'm really very curious about how this is all going to shape up, because as of right now, it's like I'm saying maybe more bad here than good. I don't know. It's like Fugidove was in a whole 2 episodes, and I just don't get what's funny about Fugidove. He's kind of starting to be my Jar Jar Binks. It's like I like Jar Jar Binks, but he's probably made for a very specific audience, and I'm not in it, so I just don't care for Fugidove. And it's like here he is doing his thing, and it's like, oh, he gets to have his little moment to shine and gets to use a Lord of the Rings reference of "Fly, you fools," which is also kind of a double entendre because he's a bird person with wings and everything. But I just don't get what's funny about Fugitive and why they keep bringing him back. It must have just been like this weird, we dare you to put this in joke, and so it's funny to the writing team, but no one else. So he's even on the poster. He's even like a real big presence on the poster. So I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the first 12 episodes. And there were several moments where I was going, and having all the appropriate emotions and stuff. But in the 2 weeks that it's been since I've watched them and everything, I've kind of been going, at a lot of stuff. There's been a lot of good stuff. There's also been a lot of stuff. Like I think the weakest episode was I can't remember the name of all these episodes yet. I think the weakest one's definitely been the girl in the van. She wants to be the pop singer or whatever. And it's like, oh, here's Zane's lesson to not let go of his humanity and stuff. It's like, okay, I guess so we had to deal with Robot Zane for 8 episodes or something before, and this is the payoff. I didn't particularly care for it. I think that could have been handled better. And I don't know if is that the song that she wrote, is that going to be on the soundtrack? Is that is that supposed to be a tie-in to some sort of campaign that Lego's going to be doing or something like that? I don't know. Some of that seemed kind of weird and out of place. I enjoyed the chase itself. The story was the thing that really fell flat for me. But the being chased around the desert, and then they go into the canyon, and there's the bounty hunter guy is also totally why are you using another new character when this could be... It's like, why can't it be Ronan? He's hunted them down before and won. Not that anyone remembers that, but it's like, why can't it be Ronan? It's like, it's like Ronan is the type of criminal where if you can use him, you use him. If I am like the mayor or the commissioner in Ninjago City, and you need him to track someone down, it's like, okay, bud, listen up. You'll be watched like a hawk, but we need you to hunt these fugitives down, and if you do that, we'll shave a year off your sentence or whatever. It's like use him as in a Suicide Squad role. It's like Ronan's the type of guy you do that, not this Bulldog McGraw guy or whatever his name is. And he's just kind of he seems like a character that belongs in the Clutch Powers movie, and I don't mean that as a compliment. So, yeah. So, but I mean, the chase and everything was fun. I like, it's like I got Goofy movie vibes from the van being in the water, and then Zane uses power as well by freezing it. Yeah. So it's like, so yeah, I will say that in terms of the release, this is what I want from Ninjago to do moving forward. Give us these little batches of 12 or so every couple weeks. That would be awesome. If they can keep this up going forward, because it seems like with the way they've done this release on YouTube and Netflix simultaneously, that at long last, if there's going to be a single silver lining to this season, if it does turn out to be awful and I end up hating it in the end, the one silver lining is that it seems like Cartoon Network is finally out of the picture. They must have signed a decade-long contract with Lego to have the distribution rights in the US, because giving it to Netflix and putting the episodes up on the Lego YouTube channel without, and I haven't seen anything to confirm that the episodes have already aired on Cartoon Network, it seems like maybe finally Cartoon Network is not the picture anymore, and I'm going to be so unbelievably happy about that if that is true, and it seems like it is. So I'm happy about it. And here's the case, or excuse me, here's the thing. If this is the case, I think I'm going to be perfectly fine with this. Maybe Cartoon Network does still have some, broadcast rights to the show, but it's not exclusive anymore, which is why you're seeing it show up on Netflix and YouTube as well. So maybe it will eventually get shown on TV. It's just going to be, whenever Cartoon Network decides to do it. And that'll be, who knows when. Maybe they'll throw the entire season up in, like July or something like that. So I don't know. But, Cartoon Network no longer being the sole distributor of Ninjago, meaning that we can maybe, hopefully, please let us have a consistent release schedule where nothing really leaks. Because as far as I'm aware, okay, I will say, technically this season did leak because it got put up on the YouTube channel early. But considering the way things have been handled in the past, I think that is a marked improvement. And this is maybe a one-time mistake that going forward will not be the way it is in the future, where it will have a YouTube, Netflix, day and date, same time release going forward. And I really hope that is the case, and someone just accidentally hit the publish button a little too early by accident. In which case, it will be funny in hindsight and totally acceptable, I think. But it has been a very confusing 2-3 weeks here. Going, what the heck is happening with this show? So, yeah. So I'm very, very eager to see what the next episodes have. Hopefully, a lot of my kind of more negative opinions on the season so far will kind of be overturned by the time it wraps up in another 12 or more episodes, because I've been seeing the number 36 episodes being thrown around a bunch, like 36 or 32 or something like that, which would be awesome. But which means that we'd get another 2 more batches of 12, which would be cool. So I'm very eager to see the rest of it, and I hope that they stick with this distribution process for Ninjago going forward. But selfishly, I do want it all to just kind of leak in a single day, so I can just binge through the entire thing and figure out what the heck is going on. So, but like I said, that's being selfish. This is the way it should be handled going forward. It's give us a little bit at a time, because 12 episodes, 12-11-minute episodes, that's a lot. That's a decent amount of content in one day. So I mean, you can binge a group of episodes, and then we wait a little while, and then they do that again, and then since there's going to be 36 episodes in this season, then we get another 12 later on down the line. So it's that's not a horrible way to do it, and I hope that's how things go moving forward. And also, it kind of makes sense, because if they released Because, hold on, I'm going to have to get out my calculator real quick because I'm bad at math. So if this episode has 36 episodes in it, and of course that's 11-minute episodes. So if they were to fit in, so that would be the equivalent of 18. Yeah, okay, so that sounds right. So yeah, if they were to pair them up like that, then and they were to put 2 up every Friday, then that'd be 18 weeks, which would typically be a normal season of TV. It'd be like 4 weeks short, but that's not terrible, all things considered. So I mean that is because they couldn't put one 11-minute episode up every week, because then that'd be like 36 weeks, and that'd be the majority of the year. So putting them in their little batches of 12 like this, like 12, a couple weeks go by, 12, a couple weeks go by, 12, a couple weeks go by. That's not a bad schedule, and I like it. I like that. So I hope they keep this consistent, and I hope the season turns out to be to be good. So yeah, that's kind of my impressions on Crystalized so far. And I will be back again, hopefully sometime soon, to give my impressions on the next batch or my review for the full season, however things turn out. So until then, I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.